Okay, I wanted to take a couple of minutes to go over completing the square with y'all so that our time together tomorrow could be focused more on quadratic formula and getting to solving the next equations. Completing the square is just another way to solve a quadratic equation. So I'll kind of refresh you that we talked about factoring um, together on Tuesday. We also then looked at the square root property together on Tuesday. And that was this example that I'm kind of writing all on right now. And then here's going to be completing the square on the next couple of examples. And then there will also be, when we see each other tomorrow, quadratic formula. Okay, so here's the deal. Factoring I would put as the very, very most important, okay? It's gonna work with, I would say, quite a lot of your quadratic equations. And not only that, but it's gonna help us with rational equations and things like that down the road. So we may spend some more time factoring here and there, whether it be kind of at the beginning of class, quizzes, things like that. Factoring's super important. Square root property is just kind of unique and it works with only certain ones, but I do want to kind of show you some of each type, just in case you see a math lab problem that says, hey, use the square root property. You're not wondering, what are they talking about, okay? Completing the square, also very unique. It has its uses, but really if you can't factor a quadratic equation, you can go to the quadratic formula and solve it. So these other two approaches are not things that you absolutely have to use unless it's told for you to use that on the problem. You can solve every quadratic equation with either factoring or quadratic formula, okay? So with that said, let's jump into completing the square because I know you will see it on MATLAB and I want to show it to you, but I want our time together to be spent mostly doing quadratic formula. So completing the square is called that because as you work it out this way, you are creating a perfect square. You are completing the square. So the first exercise that it asks us to do to kind of get some practice with that is to come up with what term we need to add to each of these binomials. That's a binomial with two parts. That's a binomial with two parts. That will make it a perfect square trinomial. And the process for doing that is to take half of this term here and square it. So that is what you're going to see me doing. Half of 8 is 4. Squaring it gives me 16. Half of 7 is negative 7/2. If you square it, you're going to get that positive 49/4. 3/5 divided by 2. Dividing by 2 is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal, which is 1/2, will give me 3/10. Squaring that will give me the 9/100. I'm going to stop the video here so that I can upload this and then continue to work the others on a separate video.